All right. I guess we're gonna get started with the December quarterly meeting for UMETT. Just some PSAs for people in person. The bathrooms are on the other side of that wall. So you kind of need to go around to get there. And congratulations for getting here because it is challenging. But today we have some great presentations with Savannah, and then we're going to go over some new exciting things with the UMETT. We're going to have a new website coming soon, so we're going to get a little sneak preview of that with Brian. And then I really want to get some interaction with people both in person and online, so we are going to have a little poll at the end just to kind of see where everyone's at and what people really want to get from UMETT in the future. So, Savannah, you ready to go? Yeah.
Did I go or no? Can you guys see online my presentation? No? Okay. Oh. Which one?
It looks like this is my computer. Can you see behind you? That's the button you need to press.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that worked. Okay. Yeah, if you don't know who I am, I'm Savannah Mayu. I'm the GIS specialist for Salt Lake County Emergency Management and UFA. I get a lot of questions about my job, just because people are like, oh, you work for both agencies. So I just wanted to clarify. So UFA, they contract with Salt Lake County. So they have a 50-year charter that allows UFA to provide emergency management services for them. So basically we work at the ECC that's off of 33rd South and 900 West in South Salt Lake. And so I work for both agencies in providing JS. So I have to kind of split my time between both, but basically I help with any mapping, any planning, because I work under the planning section, providing any resources for them. So whether that's, call data maps for UFA or it's hazard dashboards, evacuation zones, anything like that. And just to give you an idea, on the left here is UFA's operational area. So covering unincorporated Salt Lake County, a lot of jurisdictions within Salt Lake County, as well as Eagle Mountains. That presents like a unique aspect because it's Utah County and Salt Lake County. And then on the right is just the different jurisdictions within Salt Lake County. So 23 jurisdictions and unincorporated Salt Lake County presents a lot of problems just because there's a lot of people obviously in Salt Lake County, over 1.2 million people. And I'm just one JS specialist. I don't have a whole team with me. It's just me. So it also presents a lot of unique problems, but just to give an overview of like an EOC versus an ICP, so an Incident Command Post. At least within Salt Lake County, we have an ECC, so that's an Emergency Coordination Center. But people use EOCs more frequently, or the term at least, but they're basically the same thing. So Emergency Operations Center and an ECC, they're not where the field operations are. So if there is an incident, let's say at the Great Saltaire, for example, because we do assist with that, let's say that there is a mass casualty incident or something, our incident command post is going to be near that area, and then any coordination as far as resources or things like that would occur at our ECC off of 33rd South. And they're basically meant to facilitate like the flow of information. So working with our public information officer or working with logistics to make sure that we get the resources out to the people that need it, and also make sure that, you know, if the public is asking for information or the media, making sure that they have, you know, accurate information coming from our JIC. And just to give an overview of the National Incident Management System, you're going to discover that there's a lot of acronyms within EM, if you don't already realize that. But basically, NIMS is meant to be like a common language for first responders and anyone who's on an incident. And then they follow the incident command system, which is basically just a standardized way to manage an incident. And you can use it on a variety of different incidents for different government organizations as well. So it's kind of meant to be customized based on the scale of the incident, as well as like how many resources are needed. And we kind of fall under command and coordination within that, but we also work a lot with like resource management and communication to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same page. So here's another flow chart as far as organization. So within command and coordination, there's the incident command system. And let's say we have like a flooding incident or wildfire, we're going to want to have the incident command system to help us organize like who's actually on the incident. Otherwise it'd kind of be a little bit chaotic as far as what is going on and who's in control. And then the Emergency Operations Center or the ECC, they would kind of provide information and kind of coordinate all those resources. And then the multi-agency coordination group, that's basically any policy level people within your jurisdiction or agency that would be involved in, like, let's say your elected officials, people like that, that would be within that group. And then the joint information systems is basically your people who will be in the joint information center. So integrating like your incident information, communicating with the public through your public information officer, things like that. And then to give an overview of NIMS management characteristics, there's about 14 of them. So it's a lot of information, but so common terminology, we want to make sure that we're following a common language, and kind of NIMS came out of the larger incidents like Katrina, 9/11, the 1970 wildfires. Those are kind of all came into play as far as having these different characteristics. So management by objectives, we want to develop those objectives, have kind of tactics that we're going to be using throughout the incident. Manageable span of control, so make sure that we have the number of people that we can manage effectively. So FEMA says that it's usually one supervisor for about 5 people is manageable. That could be debatable with people, but that's usually the what they recommend. And then establishment and transfer of command. So if someone's leaving, we want to make sure that they are aware of what's happening. Obviously someone's not going to be working, 24/7. So we want to make sure that someone cycles out to replace the incident commander. Comprehensive resource management. So just make sure that we have ways to track resources, make sure that people got them, and kind of how that information is going to be flowing. And then chain of command and unity of command. So basically that just outlines like an organizational chart of who is responsible for an incident, and also who has the authority, and then how does that connect to how one supervisor is helping someone on an incident. So, who am I reporting to? Who do I have to get information from? And then dispatch into deployment. So how resources are used through the established ways that you have, like what policies and procedures are applied to that. And then modular organization is basically based on the incident size or complexity. So kind of how I was saying earlier about how it could be customized depending on what is going on with the incident. You may not need all your functions at once. So it's kind of just based on how large the incident is and what's needed from local jurisdictions or things like that. Incident action planning, we'll be helping a lot with that as far as GS, because we'll help with any mapping or any planning components of that. So kind of just guides the incident activities, and you have different forms that you can fill out. Incident facilities and locations, again, we'll be helping with that a lot because we'll be providing maps to people of, whether that's staging sites, but where resources are located, or kind of an overview of a situation or things like that. Integrated communications, just making sure that everyone's on the same page. You know where to get information from, whether that's your section chief or the PIO, whoever it may be. Unified command, that's where you share incident responsibility with different people. So instead of it just being one incident commander, it could be multiple, whether that's police and fire together or anything like that. Accountability, so just making sure that we maintain accountability or responsibility for what we're doing. So whether that's tracking resources, making sure that we have protocols for things like standard operating procedures, and then information intelligence. So we want to make sure that the information that we're releasing to the public and also our stakeholders is accurate. So we're going to be vetting that before it's actually released to anyone. And just to give an overview of kind of how we fit into this. So we have these different sections. It really depends on what organization you have, but this is just an idea of what it could look like. So on the left here, we have kind of our unified coordinating group, and then we have the different sections. So we fall under the planning section. That's kind of the people responsible for making our IAP, so incident action plan. And then underneath that, we have the geospatial information unit. It could have a different name, but this is kind of what we would be doing for an incident if we're helping with any kind of mapping or data analysis. That's what we would fall under. But operations, they're basically responsible for doing any of the tactics for the incident planning. Yeah, like I said, the IEP and things like that for information distribution. Logistics helped a lot with coordinating the different resources, so getting those out to people. And then finance and admins kind of oversees all the financial aspects of an incident. So if we need to do reimbursement or, ordering different things, any contracts that we have to sign or manage, they would be responsible for that. And then on the right here is kind of how it could work for on an incident for like the actual geospatial unit. So you might have a unit leader, you might have a manager who oversees the GIS specialist, and you might even have a remote sensing specialist. It really depends on how large the incident is. In my case, it's usually just me, so I'm usually just the GIS specialist. But obviously, if an incident is much larger, then you probably have more people that would come in, just depending on how large of a scale it is.
That's what we call UMETT.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea of what that could look like, I'm sorry, this is a little small, but this is kind of what we have, at least at the county level in Salt Lake County for our emergency coordination center. So kind of our directors at the top, then we have our different sections and branches. And then we also have emergency support functions. So basically those are kind of they support operations. And then they also have our different ACC positions within that. So me helping with GIS. And then our geospatial unit, just to give more information on what they would be helping with. So providing any product, data, or services within that unit for the incident, and also complying with different policies and procedures. Here are some photos I have. On the left here is from the Magna earthquake in 2020. And then recently we had the Yellow Lake fire that was in Wasatch and Summit County, so cross jurisdictions. But yeah. Software and resources. I just wanted to briefly go over kind of what we currently use, whether that's statewide or countywide, at least with WOC, that's been adopted statewide. So it's kind of a common operating platform for incident management. So situational awareness, mapping, documentation with your IEPs, any kind of incident response or like requesting resources would be done through here. And then for Salt Lake County, at least I know it's also in Wasatch County or Washington County as well. I'm not sure if any other counties have crisis track yet, but we're going to be using it to collect damage assessment information. That's really helpful for reimbursement for any damages to property, whether that is personal property or any buildings like small businesses and things like that. You can also use it for debris management and evacuation capabilities as well. Hazards is a big one. We're using it right now for our hazard mitigation plan, and that can help a lot to understand kind of how different hazards would affect your community. So that's really important for like risk modeling and kind of estimating the damages of something or how much it would cost for the recovery process. And then obviously Esri, everyone uses Esri, so it's really helpful to be able to create maps, kind of share information with others. So having knowledge of field data or running analysis and how to create different web applications is really helpful. And then also, if you're involved with UAVs at all, we're using them a lot for aerial imagery or even video of, especially as it comes to damage assessments, when you're trying to document damages and be able to get reimbursement for people. That's kind of how we've been using UAVs, but also for situational awareness. For example, we help a lot with at the Great Saltaire. And if you've ever been to an event at Great Saltaire, at least for their EDM kind of events, they do have an interesting group of people. So we usually fly our drone kind of just to maintain or monitor what's going on, and if there's any suspicious activity or things like that, that's what we would use it for. And just to give you an idea of kind of what we've helped with before within Salt Lake County, recently we had the spring runoff. We also helped in this year with the elections, just with monitoring. And then we also had in 2021, we had avalanches and the Parley's Canyon fire. So that involved a lot of evacuations for people and also just kind of monitoring if there's any damages to like power lines or other important infrastructure. And then the Magna earthquake in 2020, along with the windstorm, caused a lot of damage. So it was a lot of damage assessments and kind of monitoring with the different riots that happened throughout Salt Lake City. And then 2019 was probably our longest activation as far as the COVID-19 pandemic, which I mean is almost still kind of ongoing, but yeah, that definitely put a strain on resources as far as, you know, getting information out to the public, but also masks and vaccine distribution. So that was a pretty extensive process for us to get information out, but also be able to accommodate different jurisdictions' resources or requests for resources. And then 2018, we also had the hazmat tanker fire on I-15. It shut down the highway for about 3 hours. And so kind of just monitoring that situation, being there to assist. I think, at least in the county level, it's been important for us to be able to be open to providing services to people, but we also don't want to overstep because obviously people want to maintain control of their local jurisdiction. But, you know, knowing that they have the ability to contact us and things like that has been a better partnership, and that's kind of evolved over time. And then 2017, we had multiple fires. So it was kind of multi-incident going on. We had multiple fires throughout different jurisdictions. And then we also had a gas leak that was in Mill Creek. So just a lot of things happening at once. So just maintaining situational awareness, making sure that people have what they need. And then in 2016, we also had the algal bloom. So that was just kind of monitoring what was happening with that, if we needed to request help at the state level. And then Cornelia Canyon fire, there's also evacuations with that. So just making sure that people are aware of where they need to go and they know how they can get to different shelters. As far as recommended courses, all the ones here I do recommend, but the ones that have the IS in front of it, they're independent study, which means that you can take them online and at your own pace. And those are links there, and I'll send this to Julia so she can distribute as well. But the ICS 300 and 400, those are usually in person. You can also take them virtually though, but they're not, I think you do have to pay for those for the most part, but at least the state usually has ICS 300 and 400 pretty frequently. There'll be a slide later with dates for that, but you do need to take 300 before 400, just so you know. But I do recommend reading through the IS 103 and then the IS 922, because that'll be helpful for understanding kind of not only applications within GIS for, you know, within emergency management or kind of any incident, but also helping understand like how we fit into it. because it is challenging, a little overwhelming, with all the different acronyms that are and kind of the ICS structure. You're like, I don't know what's happening, but it's okay. So I think that'll help you to kind of have a broad overview of what's happening with something and then how you fit into it. And then as far as upcoming courses, yeah, we do have the 300 and 400 coming up in January, February, and March as well. The state does host those pretty frequently. If you do end up missing those, it's a little interesting time because obviously it's the end of the year. So we haven't fully gotten the training schedule for 2025 yet, but there'll be more courses happening and those will be released to everyone when we have that information. And then the enhancing planning, preparedness, and response to pandemics. But that's just something that's coming up. I think it's helpful to know from a planning perspective, kind of what has worked in the past and what hasn't. And then EOC planning support skill sets that can also help you understand overall like how the planning section helps on incidents. And then I do recommend looking at any of the National Disaster Preparedness Training Centers courses. They do have a variety of ones that are available online that you can kind of sign up for or look at. I did take the UAS and disaster management recently. I think it was a few months ago. Devin was at that one too, but I recommend that because it helps to understand kind of how UAS can help within any incidents or kind of if you're trying to start your program with UAVs, then that could help a lot too. As far as expectations for someone who's on an incident, just having the proper equipment and licenses, making sure that you know who to contact to get that information, if you don't already know, and then having the knowledge about ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Online, kind of any Esri platform related knowledge is really helpful. There's a lot of courses online that Esri offers that are either free or if you can work out with your organization or jurisdiction to be able to take any paid ones. You have access to authoritative data sources. So Esri has its Living Atlas. That's a really helpful resource. There's a variety of different data sources there. There's also UGRC. There's a lot of county level data sets available, or even with your agency or jurisdiction, if you do have any authoritative resources, then you're welcome to share them with UMETT. But then also knowing your policies and procedures, so knowing kind of what's expected of you if you're on a specific incident, and they do have access to that. And then all those courses that I mentioned before that can really help you to understand how you fit into your role. But there's also people around you who are happy to help you as well if you are in an incident. And then having pre-made templates or at least access to those templates for an incident is really helpful because you don't want to be making something from scratch. And it will save a lot of time to keep that planning process going. This is just an example of what we use, at least in our ECC. We have like a hazard dashboard. So this is just an experience builder with different dashboards that we have about what's going on in the valley, whether that's events, any weather related information. We have all the UDOT webcams on there as well. So we can kind of monitor if there's any traffic or accidents or things like that. That's just an example of what we use, at least in our ECC, and we have that displayed on our different TV monitors throughout the ECC as well. As far as next steps, I do recommend signing up for a U-Train account. That can track, it's through the state, but it can track your different courses that you've been taking. It kind of serves as like a central repository for the information. And it's also where you can find new classes to take. And then obviously, yeah, taking the classes that I recommended, that'll help a lot for understanding ICS overall, but also how you kind of fit into that as a GIS person. And then coordinating with your local agencies or jurisdictions. If you don't already have access to this kind of software, or maybe you don't know your emergency manager, I encourage you to develop that relationship with them because they'll have the institutional knowledge and be able to kind of guide you as far as where you can help with them. And then if you do have any authoritative data sources or other relevant resources, like you can share them with UMETT. But with that, did you guys have any questions? I know it's a lot of information, a lot of acronyms. I also kind of talk really fast when I'm nervous, so thank you.
I have a question for you. Yeah, sorry, that, I don't know why that table was, that's the one way that doesn't have a microphone. No, they plugged in, scoot over to the.
Yeah. Okay. So then I had a question about, well, two things from the last slide, the HAZUS and the crisis track. I guess first of all, have you guys used crisis track already for some of your, I think you said you do kind of like the windshield assessments using that, is that right?
Yeah, we haven't had really any large incidents where we've needed it yet, but we did purchase it last year. And it's nice because it's connected with WebUC, so you can kind of integrate them both, which is nice because if you're logged into WebUC, then you kind of see what's happening in Crisis Track. But yeah, we're in a training period with that right now, as far as training all the local jurisdictions. But yeah, we'll definitely be using it in the future.
So do the local jurisdictions have access to it through Salt Lake County?
Yeah, so all local jurisdictions within Salt Lake County have access to it through their emergency manager.
Okay,
And so the emergency manager was responsible for actually implementing it at the local level if they want to. It's not a requirement for them to, but I think it's a great program to use because it's free for them. Like we pay for it
yeah,
and we maintain it and kind of I think that's a great opportunity for them to be able to get reimbursement because in the past it's been very difficult for some jurisdictions to get FEMA reimbursement when they don't have the documentation of like what actually occurred.
right. Okay. Hobie, does the state use crisis track then?
The state does not use
No?
crisis track, no. So the state has kind of a policy of no policy when it comes to the tool to collect damage assessment.
Yeah,
Because we want whatever, we want the local jurisdictions to decide what they're going to use to collect the data. And then they're happy with whatever they give us. So,
Cool.
or rather the mitigation team. Fortunately, that's not me.
no, that makes sense.
But the other thing is that so there is crisis track itself in WebUC, but every city or every jurisdiction across the entire state has access to WebUC. Not all of them are using it, but there is also damage assessment information in there. And then Esri itself has a damage assessment solution
Right.
that they've rolled out pretty recently. So there's lots of options.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And then sorry, and then oh sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But we had a question online from Kevin, but
Oh, okay. Well, the other part was the houses. I'm just curious, what is the like latest status of houses as a
Yeah. Actually,
software?
I have an exciting update. Is that it's now available in ArcGIS Pro.
Okay,
For the longest time, it was only in ArcMap, but obviously they've
there's an asterisk to that. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get to that, but
so yeah, there's always going to be trials and tribulations with this, but yeah, it is available in ArcGIS Pro now. I don't know.
so currently HAZUS in ArcGIS Pro is limited to running damage models for only hurricane and Devon, what's it? Well, it's only hurricane and yeah,
is it Plume?
hurricane and flood. Earthquake damage modeling is not yet been rolled over into ArcGIS Pro yet.
Do you know, what about plumes?
Lateral plumes, no, not
Plume
yet.
modeling?
No plume modeling yet. So just
Okay,
they got because hurricanes are the one that everybody uses across most of the country. We're kind of weird out here where we only, we have the earthquake, but our floods aren't like other people's floods and we don't get hurricanes. So that was lower priority. We get hurricane winds, it's not, yeah. Yeah, so that's the caveat with Pro currently and HAZUS, but FEMA's been pretty good about getting that out. So they will incorporate that soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't have a timeline for when they're going to have that, but I would hope that it would be soon to get everything in there. But yeah, so we've been using that for our hazard mitigation plan, and that's helped a lot to understand like damages and also provide that information to like like a stakeholder or even like a senior official for them to actually visualize and understand like, oh, if we don't mitigate this, like this is what's going to happen. So that helped a lot from that perspective. But
Cool. Thank you.
the question online, can crisis track data be ingested into ArcGIS via service? Yes. So every incident that you create within crisis track is going to have its own feature service. So you can integrate that into whatever platform you kind of want, whether you want to make like a dashboard or you want to just put it on a web map or something, or paper map, like you could do that. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Savannah. That was fantastic and informative, and I know I need to retake some of those trainings, so I'm excited for that list, and I'll make sure to send that out to everyone in an email following the meeting, as well as a recording and some notes. So this is kind of to go with the direction that we're going with UMETT is we want to have more training opportunities in emergency management. We want to continue having the best practices and how people have used GIS and emergency management across the state. But we also want to make sure that we're outlining the necessary trainings within emergency management GIS, and also kind of giving people opportunities to learn more about that with UMETT moving forward. But jumping into the next section, Brian is going to be sharing a sneak peek of our new UMETT website, where we're going to be able to have a lot of these resources just readily available. So, Brian, you want to take it away? Thanks.
Oh, I can scroll around on this? I don't think so. Oh, good afternoon. Hey, so I started working on this, a couple months ago. And this is just basically, Julia has ArcGIS Hub Premium and thought it would be a great idea of using that to integrate into how to access EM data and also training and other things. So I've just kind of been building and testing and playing with some of the Hub Premium features because I don't have these normally. But there are some really cool things like event calendars, and I think what we were wanting to get into is the Hub Premium and the community stuff, and then also some other integrated survey 123 things for assistance requests, and also having a member list with like addressing and stuff like that. But if anyone has ideas of what they would like to see on this, you can please let Julia know, and then she'll talk to me and we'll figure out some other stuff. Thanks.
All right, I apologize for the delay between presenters. This is my first time presenting in this room and working out some of the kinks. But yeah, if you have any ideas for the hub site, if you have ideas of things you want to see, you can always reach out to me or the UMETT email. But For the last portion of this meeting, I'd like to do a poll. So people online should be able to use that QR code to enter this poll as well. I'll give everyone, I don't know, 30 seconds to log on. Looks like we have 2 people so far.
While we're waiting for people to log on to Menti, we had a question come in, Julia,
Oh.
from Stan. Is the link to the hub live yet? So the exact question is there a live link to the hub? I don't need to paraphrase.
I think it's an organizational sharing.
Okay, there is not a live link yet. But that is something that we could make public for UMETT to just kind of look at. I don't know, Brian, do you have anything you want to add? Okay, yeah, so we will make it publicly available. So understand that it's not complete, it's not, ready really to be released, but we would love your feedback and ideas so we can share that along with the presentations from today. All right, I'll give it another like 10, 15 seconds. All right, let's go to the first question. Which best describes your role? So I have an idea of, the makeup of UMETT, but I really wanted to actually get some data on who's coming to these meetings and who's trying to participate, just so that we can better serve you. I'll give about 15 more seconds. Looks like mostly city and county GIS, but there's actually a pretty good spread. So that's good to hear. I'm curious what the other is. Batman. It was Tolson's guess. Another 5 seconds. Pretty good response. All right, moving on to the next question. And this is kind of a scale question. What would you like to see from UMETT meetings moving forward? So you can, like, if you leave it where it's at, that means that you're not really interested in it. But if you slide the scroll bar all the way to the right, that means that you are more interested in seeing this at future UMETT meetings. So we've got emergency management, basic training opportunities, GISS training opportunities, presentations on best practices of GIS and emergency management, presentations on new technologies, and opportunities to volunteer or request volunteers in an incident. Okay, we'll give it another like 10 seconds or so, but it's interesting. It seems like most people are interested in the best practices of GIS and emergency management. So that's good to know. So we've got some good interest across the board. All right, I don't know if I can see how many people have actually responded, but okay, sweet. I think that's about everyone. All right, we'll move to the next question. So this is a free response. You're welcome to just type things in. You can type multiple things in. What resources, information, or tools would you like available on UMETT's updated hub site? So you're not on the hook to reach out. You can just type it in right here and we'll collect it. Training. Yep, I agree. Open data. Yeah, we certainly want to have kind of a comprehensive, like UMETT doesn't really manage data, but we want to make sure that we have a one-stop shop or at least direction for people to access data that is relevant to emergencies or templates. Data schemas, success stories. Ooh, I like that. Having a little maybe spotlights of what people have done in GIS. Great. I'll give it another 10 seconds or so. And I'll save all these responses so we can use this moving forward. Incident news. Ooh, I like that too. We're working on some tools at this state that aren't quite ready to be released yet, but some situational awareness type of tools that will probably link on our UMETT site once it's ready to go, to help with just awareness of different incidents and hazards and the status of FEMA community lifelines across the state. All right, I think there's one more. Nope. The last is just if there's any questions to me, to the UMETT board as a whole, or yeah, just I'll just give 15 or so seconds. You're also welcome to unmute or put it into the chat, but I wanted to put it here because polls and apps are sometimes more fun. Okay, unless there's anything in the chat, I don't know if anyone sees. No chats? Sweet. All right, no questions then. Oh, wait. Can we get a better EOC? That's not on me. Oh. Oh, it looks like there's a second question, but I'm not sure how to access it. Oh, sweet. Thanks. Thanks, Obi. Can you get us instructions for bringing crisis track seed into pro? Savannah, do you want, thank you.
Yeah, I can send you the guide that we have for Crisis Track. And we're still kind of working through like our SOP for that just because the software is so new to us. But yeah, if you want to be a part of that process or if you have any feedback, then I'll yeah, you can just email me if you don't, or if you need my contact information, then just let me know.
Is that something that we could put on the UMETT, or at least link on the UMETT site once it's ready?
Yes.
Cool. Sweet. Press enter just to see if there's any more. Oh, okay. Does anyone have specific training requests? What subject do people want covered? And you can unmute or add it into the comments or send us an email. It says one of 3, and I don't know if that's because this is the third one or if there's additional ones. Enter, maybe, answered. I'm sorry, Hobie. Okay, so that is all of them. Oh. All right. That is kind of the end of our presentations today. If you would like to present in the future, if you have done something cool with your city, county, organization, with GIS and emergency management, we would love to have you present. So you can let us know by reaching out to me or any of the board members, or you can send an email directly to umet.response@gmail. And yeah, we would love to hear what everyone has been doing and like success stories or what didn't work, and then we can all kind of learn together moving forward. We were thinking of, for the UMETT meetings moving forward, having kind of split between training, emergency management, kind of principles, GISS, and then half best practices. But it did seem that like people were more interested in best practices based on the results of the survey. So we can kind of discuss that moving forward. But we certainly want to make training opportunities available as part of our quarterly meetings, or potentially in addition, but that's just something that we are trying to work out and plan as we kind of get UMETT back up and running. So I guess we can end 12 minutes early unless anyone has any comments or questions. Okie doke. Thank you, everyone.